At this magnification, this looks like it could be a high-grade coin. But once you step back, does it behave like one? So instead of guessing, we're going to start with a comparison at mint state 64, and we'll work backwards until this coin fails to meet the standard. Grading is not about just blindly picking a number. It's about where a coin breaks inside a range. So when you have 4 certified reference copies that you can use as a comparison, that's a nice little way to help you figure out where you stand. So we're going to start at the top with a mint state 64 and let this coin fail its way down. First, we're going to isolate the raw coin. We're going to look at the cheek, the primary focal area on a Morgan dollar. Now, at lower magnification, it can look acceptable. But as we step up, you start to see the structure of the damage. The marks begin to stack. They're not just present, they're layered. And this is where perception changes under the microscope. Now, look at this certified mint state 64. Marks are still present, but they're lighter, a bit more dispersed. They're less intrusive. Nothing really dominates the surface like on the last raw coin. Okay, now look at these coins side by side. The raw coin on the left, the certified 64 on the right. The difference becomes immediate. Focus on the cheek. On the mint state 64, your eye moves smoothly. Nothing stops you. On the raw coin, your eye catches. It hesitates. It jumps between marks. And this is the difference between presence of marks and dominance of marks. MS64 is controlled. The raw coin, not nearly as much. So right here, I think we can say this raw coin fails mint state 64. All right, let's take a second and have another close look at the cheek area on the raw coin, because we're about to hit mint state 63, and that's the real decision point. Okay, now we're going to move on to compare it against the first of the mint state 63 coins. But notice that even though this is a clean looking mint state 63, the cheek still has marks. This is not a perfectly clean coin, but the marks are restrained and they don't dominate the surface. Now, compare that to the raw coin on the left. Is it close or is it clearly worse? Look at how much more active the raw surface feels. All right, now this is the second mint state 63, and I'm using this coin specifically to illustrate something important. Mint state 63 is a tolerance, and this coin represents the upper tolerance range for a mint state 63. And this is where a lot of people can get confused, because the coin is clearly marked, but it still holds together. The marks are present, but not overwhelming. Now, compare it to the raw coin. Does the raw coin still sit inside this range? Or does it maybe push beyond it? Watch how your eye reacts. On the mint state 63, it kind of stabilizes. But on the raw coin, it kind of keeps moving. And that's the difference. All right, the next thing we need to do is compare the fields. Okay, so again, I've got the raw coin on the left, and we can take a little bit of a sweep around the fields, and they are relatively quiet. We do have a couple of marks back here, and a couple of minor die breaks, but overall the fields look pretty good. Now, comparing that to the first mint state 63, you can already see there's a fair amount of noise in the fields. But the rest of the coin is fairly decent, relatively quiet in those fields. You can still rest your eye. Now, look at the raw coin. Does your eye settle? Or does it keep searching? Are you seeing excess surface activity? If so, that reinforces the result. All right, now I've gone ahead and dropped it down to the mint state 62 comparison. Now, with this mint state 62, as you can see, this is where control breaks down more noticeably. The marks appear a little bit heavier. They're a little bit more visible. The surface looks a little bit less refined. Now, compare. Is this where the raw coin starts to align, or does it fall short? Under magnification, the surfaces begin to match. The level of density, disruption, the overall feel. In my opinion, this is probably where this coin falls in the band. So now I think the answer is pretty clear. Comparing it to the mint state 64, I think it fails, well, almost immediately. Comparing it to the first mint state 63, again, I think it's pretty clear that the raw coin does not rise to the level of this mint state 63. This is the second mint state 63. And notice that I think there are a lot of similarities in these coins. I think the raw coin fields are actually a little bit more quiet and a little bit cleaner than the coin on the right. And some of the marks on the cheek on the mint state 63 are probably at least as bad as the raw coin on the left. Okay, and then lastly, we've got the mint state 62. And I do believe that the raw coin is probably pretty close. So you have to make a determination as to just how you feel the marks on the left and the surface quality compared to that on the right. The luster on the right is spectacular. On the left, it's a little bit more reserved. But I think overall, our coin probably barely makes a mint state 62. But this is how grading works. Not by guessing, but by elimination. In my opinion, this coin lands in the mint state 62 range. not because of one major flaw, but because of cumulative surface disruption. It simply doesn't hold the control required to hit mint state 63. So we start at the top, compare sequentially, and let the coin fail on the way down. That's how you grade.